Hi guys, tonight we're going to use that leftover venison that Jay made on the last show, and I'm going to use it in some soup, I think, kind of a combo soup, stew kind of thing. And I've just pulled a bunch of stuff out of my freezer and out of the pantry, so let's see where this goes. Alright, so I've got some of the leftover broth from the venison that he made last night, and I've also added some beef broth. And to that, I'm going to add, I had some dehydrated onions that I've added some water to get them plump back up. I'm going to go ahead and add those first. And also with that, I'm going to add, I've got some green cabbage and some purple cabbage that I've just chopped up kind of thin little slices. And I had some greens that I had frozen that I've chopped up into nice little chunks. So I'm going to throw all that together and get that brought up to a nice boil and let the onions and the cabbage start to get tender. And we'll bring you back then. Alright, I put a lid on this and let it boil for about 10 minutes. And everything's looking nice and soft in here. It's got a very good aroma. So to this, I'm going to go ahead and add these mushrooms. These are chicken of the woods, and I've just chopped them up into little squares, and I'm just going to let this cook in here and start getting tender. And with that, I'm going to put these green beans. These were fresh out of the garden that we froze 2 years ago now. So needed to get those out of the freezer. So I'm just going to let these cook in here for a bit, and then we'll be back. Alright, so I let that boil for about 5 minutes to let those green beans start getting tender. And then I threw in a can of home canned beets. And this is just stuff I wanted to get out of the pantry, out of my freezer. And this is a good way to use it because they'll cook down and blend well together. You won't even know that you're eating beets or greens and that kind of stuff. So I'll bring you back when it's time for the next step. Alright, this has been cooking for about 20 minutes, and I'm wanting to cook these veggies down a little bit more. I've tasted the broth and it's really good. It's got a nice flavor to it, but we're running out of broth before I can get this cooked down. So since I don't have any more beef broth, I'm going to use this chicken broth. Chicken broth is always a good substitute. I'm just going to go ahead and add this whole thing. Nice. And I'm going to continue to let these boil and cook down a little bit. And we'll bring you back. Alright, this is cooked down nicely. It's been cooking for, I'd say, about 20 minutes since it came back up to a boil. And you can still see a lot of veggies in there, but it's cooked down quite a bit. So now I'm going to throw in, I've got a jar of asparagus. And like I say, it's just what you want to throw in. We've also got some carrots that I'm going to throw in here. And a jar of spicy tomatoes. I have potatoes, but I'm not going to throw those in yet. I am going to throw in the meat. And, wow, I don't know that I'm going to have room for those potatoes. We'll let that warm up and see what we have going on. Alright, I did find a bigger pan to put all this in. And this is cooked down nicely. So to this, and I haven't added any spices to this, and it's actually quite tasty just the way it is. But we're going to keep going, so I'm going to add, I would say this is about a half a cup of the penne. It's not a ton, but it's actually what I had in the pantry. And it'll be just the occasional bite of pasta in there. It actually doesn't need as much as you think it would need. So I'm going to let that cook for about 10 minutes. And then I have some canned potatoes. I don't want to put those in until the end because they're already soft. I don't want them, I want them to fall apart a little bit, but not completely dissolve. So we're going to throw those at the very end, and they should warm up nicely, and we'll bring you back then. Alright, I've let that pasta cook for about 10 minutes, and it's tender to the point where I want it to be. Now I'm going to add the canned potatoes, and I'm just going to add these whole. Like I said, they're soft, so with the stirring they should break up. I'm just going to warm these. Once these are warm, pretty much I'll bring it back up to a boil, and then I'll be turning it off. And then we'll bring you back for a taste test. Alright guys, so this is all done, and as you can see, this is kind of a hearty soup, stew. I don't know, I'd lean more to the stew than the soup, but let's give it a try.
It's delicious.
It's hot, so I'm going to set the bowl down. But there's a nice chunk of meat in there, some pasta. It's really good. A lot of different flavors in there. Have a great night, guys. See you later.